Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Eric Ritter. It's Talking Hockey here, and it's been a long time since I've done this, and we're in lo-fi mode here through a cell phone from 13 years ago when I first started this video and got a lot of great subscribers. And we never had too many views, but I had some great subscribers who were always asking me questions and communicating with me, and went heavy for the first couple of years. Like I said, 13 years ago when I first started this, and life happened, a lot of things changed, and I got kind of pulled away from it. Anybody who's stuck around for all that time remembers I used to live down in Florida. It's been, according to my channel, 8 years since I last posted a video. Right after I moved up to Maryland, I started to do videos again for the 2013 postseason, and didn't get a whole lot of views and just kind of left it be. A lot of things were going crazy at the time, and not until recently did I think about picking this up again. So don't have to set up in the rig anymore, just trying to do this through the cell phone because technology's changed a lot in a decade, but decided what the heck, let's throw it out there. Let's see if we get some views, see if the old subscribers pop up, and go from there. So we're going to talk about the 2021 Stanley Cup Final, which starts tonight. Game 1 is upon us down in Tampa, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a crazy year. We know this year has been a lot different with the different divisional alignments and the different playoff system and the way that it's set up. We have two teams who are not only both from the Eastern Conference typically, but they're also in the same division typically, who are going at it now for the Stanley Cup Final in Tampa Bay Lightning against the Montreal Canadiens. We got last year's swag again from my time in Florida and got the hookup from some buddies down there and got the Stanley Cup 2020 championship gear from the Tampa Bay Lightning, a team that's been on the cusp for the last several years, and we all know that Game 7 in 2018 at home, they lose to the Capitals, and the Caps go on to win it. They get swept in 2019 after a record-setting year, and then we're having a decent regular season last year before COVID hit and shut everything down. And when they got to the bubble, they went on the run, never faced elimination, and wound up beating Dallas and winning the Cup. This year, in a division that really was pretty top-heavy, and they really should have gotten here. No, there's no doubt that they should have at least made the semifinals, and they go through the Islanders again in a great 7-game series, and they push through, and now they're in the finals once more. And for Montreal, what a journey. You can't really look at the standings and put it into the original alignment and make judgments because it's not the same schedule. Nothing would have really carried over. But if you do that, Montreal would have been 10th overall in the Eastern Conference. They wouldn't have even made the playoffs, and now here they are in the Stanley Cup Final. It's been a crazy ride for them. They go through Toronto, who chronically finds ways to lose and never advance in the playoffs. Winnipeg, who was riding a high from beating a team in Edmonton who's really not as good as people want to give them credit for. They might have the best player in the world in Connor McDavid, but that franchise is buoyed by him and Leon Draisaitl. That's it. So it's a two-player team, and they got exposed. And for the series against Vegas, Vegas should have absolutely stomped Montreal. And then Peter DeBoer decides to start playing the goalie carousel. And if you pay attention to hockey, you watch hockey, it's consistent year over year that, except for if there's an injury and you have to change goalies, teams that start swapping goalies in between games in the postseason always fail. And it's not good enough. It was unnecessary. I mean, give DeBoer credit. I mean, he was using the whole I'm giving Fleury rest thing, which Game 1 against the President's Trophy winners in the Colorado Avalanche, you put Leonard out there for the first time in a month. That was ballsy to start a series off with basically whatever, we don't care who we have out there. And then down 2-1 in Game 4, you put Leonard out there. Now, again, they used the fatigue excuse. I think a lot of people thought it was a response to the way Game 3 ended in Montreal-Vegas, but the fact that Fleury started Game 5 shows you otherwise. But the last 4 games of that series, the goalies alternated starts. That's never going to be successful. I would fire Peter DeBoer. That's a stupid way to handle a series, and a series that they absolutely should have dominated. Your offense dried up. Your goaltender carousel doesn't make any sense, and now Montreal's there in the finals. So it's interesting to read some of the predictions around the internet because Montreal was getting picked against in pretty much every single series. Nobody believed in them against Toronto. There was some faith in them against Winnipeg, but everybody was jumping on the Jets bandwagon, and then everybody obliterated their chances against Vegas. And now all of a sudden, when they're going up against a defending champion, now more people are picking Montreal to win this series than anybody picked them to win the first 3 series of the playoffs. So it doesn't make any sense. People are jumping on and believing, and unfortunately, it was always kind of a joke, when I was doing these videos pretty consistently when I first started. The most I heard from was the Canadian team fans, not just the Montreal Canadiens, but any of the franchises. It was not the Winnipeg Jets at the time. That's how far back this goes. It was still the Atlanta Thrashers. There was only 6 Canadian teams, but I heard from the Canadian team-based fans more than anybody, which makes sense. I mean, it is Canada's sport, and everybody kind of labeled me as somebody who hated the Canadian franchises. I know I always heard from Ottawa fans who were telling me they were going to win the Cup when they were obviously terrible, and getting feedback, from a lot of Montreal, Calgary fans I remember from back in the day. So we're going to stir that pot again because I don't think Montreal has much of a chance in this series. Tampa Bay has had a much more difficult path. Carolina is an excellent defensive team who can shut them down. And the New York Islanders, Barry Trotz, they can play great defense and shut them down. And Montreal can do it too. And it's not going to surprise anybody if Montreal does that again and does figure out a way to win. But I just don't think that Tampa Bay is going to have their offense dry up the way Vegas did. We know Tampa Bay doesn't have a great backup, if you even want to consider Leonard a backup. Fleury and Leonard, that's the issue you get into when teams have 2 great goaltenders, is that you're pushed to want to use both of them because they're both so talented. But the playoffs aren't the time for that. We saw last year they rode Leonard the whole way and lost, and then they come out and want to play the carousel, and they got as far as they did until they started to ride the carousel, and now Montreal pushes their way through. So the Canadians can do it. They can shut them down. They've gone up against high-octane offenses this entire postseason, and they've found ways to shut them down. But in this case, because of the weird season, because of the weird divisions, you got 2 teams now who are facing each other for the first time in over a year. But these are 2 teams who know each other very well. Their rosters haven't had that much of a massive turnover since COVID. Not a lot of teams did, obviously, with the salary cap situation. And these are 2 teams who are typically divisional rivals, so they're playing each other multiple times a year. They're familiar with each other. And, you look at Montreal, they're set up offensively for the future. They've got so many young guys. Kotka, Niemi, Suzuki, Caulfield are all young and have all had a great postseason, have been putting up numbers. And in a division that has a lot of offensive firepower from Montreal, you're seeing that they're going to be able to start to hang with that division as these guys develop and get more experience. But Tampa Bay is a more experienced team right now. I would love for the Canadians, with veterans like Shea Weber and Carey Price. Those are great guys, been in the league a long time, haven't gotten their cup. They're great character guys too, more than anything. I would love to see those 2 guys skate the cup. I would not be disappointed in that. But for me, to just look at this matchup, I don't see how Tampa Bay loses this series. But to be honest, I was thinking the same thing. I didn't do any video. There's no proof. But I'll just, admit myself that I thought that Vegas would smash through Montreal, and I think that they were their own biggest enemy. But Montreal got what they needed to done. But it's been the Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov show so far offensively for Tampa Bay. Andrei Vasilevsky has been the most clutch goaltender for the last year. In the postseason, you see 4 straight series-clinching shutouts. I mean, that's an unbelievable record that he's been going on and run that he's been going on there. And so, if there's anybody who can stand up to Vasilevsky in the postseason, it's going to be Carey Price. He's the veteran. He's been one of the greatest goaltenders in the league for the last several years. So he's not going to be intimidated by the guy at the other end of the rink. But offensively, Tampa Bay has what it takes. I think they can do enough defensively to get into the minds of those kids. All they got to do is slow them down for a couple of games. Montreal's been able to score and get what they need to. They haven't been putting up 6 or 7 goals a game, but the kids have been coming through with the big goals when it matters. If Tampa Bay can frustrate the young guys and force them to really kind of do what Vegas was doing and then only get their offense from the back end, that can trip Montreal up a little bit. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay in 5. I usually don't ever pick any kind of series in 5 or 4 games. I think that these teams are too good. The parity's in the league, and that there's not ever going to really be a short series anymore. And if this thing goes 6 or 7, I wouldn't bat an eye, and I don't think anybody else would. Most of the picks, whether it is other experts out there picking the Canadians or the Lightning, whatever side they're on, it's about 6.5 games is the average series length that you're seeing these pundits pick. And, so it wouldn't surprise me to see it go that length. But for me, I think Tampa Bay is going to come out. They want to prove that, I think that they still have a chip on their shoulder from 2019 and setting those NHL records, or having that NHL record tying season with 62 wins in 2019 and then getting 0 postseason wins, getting swept out by Columbus. I think they still got a chip on their shoulder from that. I think they want to defend the cup and, win it for the second time in a little over 9 months. And, I think that there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this, going back through time. You look at what you look at what Pittsburgh did in 2008. The young guys going on a run to the finals, losing to Detroit, and then winning it in 2009. Chicago in 2009, they get to the conference finals and lose to Detroit, and then they win the cup the next year. We've seen young teams go on long runs that kind of catch us by surprise. Pittsburgh, it was only Crosby's, third year in the league, and he gets them to the finals. Chicago had a lot of high draft picks, a lot of good young talent. Nobody saw them get into the conference finals. And, I think this might be the sign of things to come for Montreal here in the next year or two, is these young studs develop and get into a different situation. So we'll see what it winds up looking like. But I think Tampa Bay is going to take this series. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun regardless. So, like I said, it's been a long time. There's my cat making a cameo there. So he wasn't around the last time these things started. But it's been a long time since I've done these videos. We're going to pop back up here with the Stanley Cup Finals. This is a big series. Tampa Bay, Canada, not just Montreal trying to win their first cup in 28 years, but Canada. That whole Montreal team is bearing the weight of the country right now, trying to get them to Canada's game, trying to bring them the cup back. So we'll see what happens. Let's see what the views are. Let's see if the subscribers pop back up. And, maybe over the off season and heading into next year, I'll start doing these things again. So we'll see how it goes, but it's been a crazy year and a half for hockey, and with all the medical disruptions and everything that's been going on in the world, to have the bubble situation last year and now to get through this 56-game sprint this year and see what this kind of crazy postseason has been, and with an East versus West semifinal matchup, and now with two teams who were typically and next most likely come October are going to be in the same division again, going for the Stanley Cup. So been a lot of crazy stuff going on, and it should be a really fun series. So nice to do this with you guys again. We'll see if anything comes back from it. Like I've always in the past, I always said, leave comments. I try to reply to as many comments as I can and just interact with you guys who took the time to watch the video. So let me know what you guys think. My official pick is Tampa Bay in 5. Probably 2 or 3 games into this series, that won't even be possible for either team to win in 5. But we'll see what happens. As somebody's gonna they'll probably start to ping pong, but we'll see what happens there. I think Tampa Bay offense overall is going to be too much, and Vasilevsky is he's the man, and we'll see if he has what it takes to step up and shut everybody down again. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's nice to do this, guys, once more, and we'll see what happens views-wise, and hope everybody's doing great. Hope everyone's happy and healthy, and enjoy the Stanley Cup Final. It's the best time of the year, a little bit later than normal, about 3 weeks later than should be. The Stanley Cup should have been handed out about 2 weeks ago, and we're just getting the series started. So let's see how this thing goes. Good luck to the Canadians. Good luck to the Lightning. Hopefully we have a great series. Take care, everybody, and maybe I'll see you soon.